Okay, hello people. We will start this seminar, this webinar right now. Welcome and thank you everybody for coming. I hope everybody is well. We are a few people that thought it would be good to have some analysis and perspectives from the left to deal with this current and coming crisis. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We are going to do the analysis, and the analysis only. The perspectives and the practice will be for the next 2 days. So keep that in mind during the discussion. I will shortly explain the rules of this evening, and then we will start right away. So we will record this session, so if you don't want to be published, say so before you say something. One other important thing is, at the moment you are all not in the discussion, you're not being broadcasted, not your audio and not your video. So if you want to say something, we will do it as follow. We will have a little input. And if you want to say something, you can raise your hand. Please don't use the raise your hand feature of Zoom. Just post something in the chat so we can see it chronologically, because we will have a speaker list and it's easier for us to manage that than with the feature of Zoom. So that's the first thing. Recording, if you don't want to be published, say so in the chat. We will see if we will take you to the panel, so your video will be broadcasted, or we will only give you speaking rights, so it's only your audio. I don't know which is best. We will try and decide how to proceed. You may be noticing that I'm speaking English. We decided that we will use French and English as our languages tonight. Our inputs of our panelists are already translated, and we will post them as text in the chat box so you can follow in the language you like. And if you want to take part in the discussion, just use French or English, whatever you like best. And we will try to make a short summary in the other language. So if you speak in French or in English, we will post a short summary after your intervention in French or in English. The discussion, so your interventions are limited to 1.5 minutes. So as many people as would like can speak. We will have some different blocks, and after each block we will have 10 interventions maximum. We will have a gender balanced speaker list, so men, women will alternate. If you have questions, you can ask them in the Q&A box. There's a feature in Zoom, especially for technical questions. If you have technical questions, just post them there and we will try to answer them. Okay, that's the rules. If you have other questions about the rules, just post them in the Q&A box. We will try to answer them. We also try to limit interventions to 2 interventions per block per person. So you can, if there's a discussion and you want to answer, you can do it. But we try to avoid that one person or a few people will take over the discussion, so everybody can take part of it. So think about that. Think if things that you wanted to say have already been said, then you don't have to repeat them, so we will have a good discussion. I will try to moderate, and I can be very strict if I have to. So what's the topic of tonight? We will have a few blocks, as we already announced. We will have the discussion about bullshit jobs versus essential jobs. We will have the worst crisis since 1929 versus the social dialogue. We will have the science versus skepticism block. We will talk about the human virus versus the coronavirus, so ecology. We will talk about Jeff Bezos versus the commons. and the invisible hand of the market versus visible housing shortage. So you know what to expect, and we will start right away with the first panel. That will be bullshit jobs versus essential jobs. And it will be done by Milena and Jessica. And Milena and Jessica are the organizers. They organized the first women's strike in Luxembourg, sorry. Milena Steinmetzer is a material feminist, organizing and organizing movement networks. She's trying to connect women's and the climate movement with labor and left movement. She's also doing communication and mobilization strategies. Jessica Lopez is trained in social work and sociology. She has been involved in a variety of civil society movements, from organizing undocumented workers in Portugal to the defense of tribal girls' rights to education in India. She has focused on making the invisible visible. She has always privileged a grassroots approach to community development, even today in her role as a union worker. So now it's up to you, Milena and Jessica.
Thank you, Joël. J'en profite juste très rapidement pour faire un petit récapitulatif des règles en français. Donc, comme Joël l'a expliqué, ce panel, enfin ce séminaire va être fait en deux langues, donc en français et en anglais en simultané. Donc, toutes nos contributions seront directement postées dans le chat, dans la langue. Donc, si je parle en français, ce sera publié en anglais. Si vous voulez et vous avez besoin d'une traduction, faites-nous savoir et quelqu'un d'entre nous fera une traduction rapide. Il y aura une limitation des interventions d'1 minute et demie à chaque intervention. Vous pouvez intervenir 2 fois au sein d'un même bloc. Donc, voilà, en très résumé. Je vais donc commencer. Donc, nous opposons les bullshit jobs ou encore les métiers dits à la con aux métiers essentiels. Mais de quoi parlons-nous exactement? Donc, si personne ne le faisait, personne n'aurait besoin de le faire. Pourrait être une façon très courte de résumer ce que l'anthropologue David Graeber entend par les métiers à la con dans son livre On the Phenomenon of Bullshit Jobs. Les métiers à la con répondent selon lui à 2 conditions. Premièrement, il s'agit d'un travail si inutile et superflu que même le ou la propre salarié n'en voit pas l'utilité. Deuxièmement, dans le cadre de la relation de travail, le ou la salarié doit agir comme si son travail était important. Ces emplois sont principalement des emplois de bureau, de l'administration, de la supervision. Ce sont des managers, des directeurs, des consultants. Mais n'est-ce pas un peu en contradiction avec le capitalisme que de payer pour autant d'emplois inutiles? Et cela principalement dans le secteur privé et le secteur des services. Eh bien oui et non. Selon l'auteur, l'objectif principal du capitalisme financier n'est plus de produire de manière compétitive, mais plutôt de distribuer des grosses sommes d'argent, de répartir le produit de dette, de créer de l'argent et de le déplacer de manière très complexe en prélevant à chaque transaction. C'est donc comme ça et dans ce système-là que ces emplois sont justifiables. On peut aussi simplement voir les choses ainsi. Les riches sont définis comme des créateurs d'emplois et assument donc cette responsabilité, même si cela signifie de créer des emplois sans vraie utilité pour le monde. Aujourd'hui, nous voyons très bien que la plupart des métiers dits à la con sont des métiers qui ne jouent pas vraiment de rôle significatif dans la lutte contre le Covid-19 et qui sont suspendus ou peut-être passent en régime de télétravail.
Contrairement aux métiers à la con, nous avons les métiers essentiels, ceux qui sont actuellement encore plus importants que jamais. Peut-être plus besoin de les définir, mais pour faire simple, il s'agit des professionnels qui assurent actuellement notre survie et la gestion de cette crise sanitaire. Il s'agit des services de production des biens essentiels, il s'agit des services de gardiennage, de transport et de logistique, mais il s'agit aussi et surtout de tous les métiers du care. Le care comprend toutes les tâches qui consistent à prendre soin de personnes ou de choses. Une liste non exhaustive de ces emplois comprend les infirmières et infirmiers, les travailleuses et travailleurs sociaux, les éducatrices et éducateurs, le personnel de nettoyage, les enseignantes et enseignants, les travailleuses et les travailleurs domestiques. Ces professions ont en commun qu'elles sont considérées comme personnellement motivées. Les personnes sont supposées d'être motivées à poursuivre un travail de soins pour des raisons autres que la compensation financière, comme par exemple l'affection ou le sens de responsabilité, des caractéristiques souvent associées au genre féminin. Greber note, dans notre société, il semble que la règle générale soit plus un travail profite à autrui, moins il est payé. En d'autres mots, et en pratique, cela signifie aussi plus un métier est considéré comme féminin, moins il est rémunéré. Il y a un peu plus d'un mois, des milliers de femmes ont fait grève au Luxembourg avec comme revendication principale, et je cite du programme, les politiques qui valorisent et rémunèrent à sa juste valeur le travail des femmes, car dans la sphère privée, tout comme dans le monde du travail, ce sont surtout elles qui assurent le travail essentiel au bon fonctionnement de notre économie et de notre société. Les revendications de la plateforme GIF, organisatrice de la grève des femmes, sont devenues plus pertinentes que jamais. Si dans le contexte actuel, nous faisions une grève de femmes, nous pourrions pratiquement parler d'une grève générale. Donc, qui s'occupe des personnes âgées, des malades en isolement et des patientes atteintes du Covid? Qui remplit les rayons des supermarchés et scanne nos courses à la caisse? Et qui s'occupe des enfants dans les institutions sociales? Ou qui prend soin des enfants maintenant qui sont à la maison?
Eh bien oui, ce sont majoritairement des femmes, des migrants ou des frontaliers, ou toutes ces choses en même temps. Mais la question n'est pas seulement qui, mais surtout comment. Aujourd'hui, nous applaudissons ceux et celles qui font ce travail essentiel. Un sentiment d'impuissance face à la crise mène peut-être à ce que de nombreux citoyens expriment leur reconnaissance de la sorte. Beaucoup sont ceux qui, surtout au sein de la gauche, critiquent cette nouvelle expression de solidarité, vue un peu comme un acte de vanité sociale, en opposition avec la vraie lutte pour les meilleures conditions de travail et de salaire. Pour nous, cet acte de collectivité peut effectivement être considéré comme un premier pas vers la solidarité. Mais pour nous, c'est surtout une base pour construire une nouvelle conscience de classe.
Okay, then we have two questions. We have these questions, not that you should only answer these questions, but they are thought of as an inspiration, so you can inspire yourself if you want to take part in the discussion. Who wants to be the first? Reminder, you have to write in the chat. Don't be shy. I can read the questions so you can prepare yourself. What are the essential jobs lacking today? Which essential jobs had long been forgotten and suddenly got visible during the crisis? And the second question would be, how was the first women's strike in Luxembourg received? What are its fruits? What challenges, strengths does the movement face or hold?
Je vais juste traduire les questions également en français. Donc, quels sont ces métiers essentiels et de quoi manque-t-il aujourd'hui? Quels sont les métiers essentiels qui ont longtemps été oubliés et qui soudainement deviennent très, très visibles? Et comment a été reçue cette première grève des femmes au Luxembourg? A-t-elle déjà porté ses fruits? Quels ont été les défis aussi les points forts de ce mouvement au Luxembourg. Je vois qu'on a aussi quelques femmes qui ont activement participé à la grève de la femme il y a un peu plus d'un mois. Donc, ce serait vraiment intéressant de les faire aussi participer à ce débat parce qu'effectivement, aujourd'hui, on dit quelque chose qu'en fait, nous, en tant qu'organisatrices de la grève, nous avions déjà dit il y a un mois, où nous avons dû faire face à quelques sceptiques qui, aujourd'hui, je crois, doivent quand même nous donner raison sur certains points et dire que réellement, beaucoup de ces jobs essentiels sont essentiellement faits par des femmes.
I see that there is a question in the chat. I will just answer it. I don't know why you cannot see who else is attending. I think that's a technical thing about webinars with Zoom. It has not been a conscious choice of us who else is attending. And you cannot see the video because it's a webinar, so you only see the panelists. But we will try it. If somebody wants to discuss with us, then we will take you to the panel and everybody else can see your webcam if you want that. Otherwise, you can only just speak. That's okay too. All those political people and nobody wants to say something. That's a little bit... Oh, we have our first... I just have to find you. That's... Will take a while. Hello, I think you can speak now.
Okay, in English or French?
Whatever you want.
Okay, ben, je préfère le français. Ben, je vais me lancer pour un peu entamer la discussion, sinon c'est un peu difficile pour les organisateurs et organisatrices. What are essential jobs lacking today? Je suppose, premièrement, la reconnaissance dans la société. Je pense qu'on prend tous et toutes les jobs un peu à la légère, disons que il n'y a pas une valorisation de ces jobs. Je parle par exemple des caissiers et caissières, des femmes de ménage, dont les conditions de travail sont pas faciles du tout. Et donc, ce qui a été dit auparavant, que c'est souvent une motivation personnelle qui régit en fait qui régit en fait pourquoi ces jobs sont faits, et qu'en fait la valorisation sociétale n'est pas faite. Donc d'un point de vue matériel et financier, mais aussi je sais pas trop dire comment on voit les gens qui font, par exemple les femmes de ménage qui ne sont pas valorisées, ou les caissiers et caissières. Donc voilà. Which essential jobs have been... Je pense un peu de tout. Je pense que peut-être les infirmiers et les infirmières ont, je sais pas, ils ont peut-être encore un peu plus de reconnaissance. Mais je pense surtout aux forces de nettoyage et les transports. Bon, après, il y a aussi les caissières et caissières, par exemple, qui maintenant, ils et elles s'exposent à des risques énormes. Et là, apparemment... les gens, ils se ruent sur les papiers toilettes et les pâtes, et soudainement on remarque si ces personnes-là ne seraient plus là, ils refuseraient de travailler, voilà, on serait un peu dans la merde. Pardon pour l'expression. Je continue ou il y a d'autres personnes qui veulent dire quelque chose? J'entends rien là.
Okay. Technical problems. I just forgot to activate my microphone. Okay. Thank you, Julie. I hope that somebody else will want to say something. We are 40 people, so we 7 now, and there are 32 other people that want to that are in our webinar. There's a question and Jessica will just answer it. And then we will have some more people.
Question about the translation?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the translation, whenever a contribution is done in French, the translation into English will be posted in the chat and vice versa. So when we speak in English, the translation into French will be posted in the chat. So we don't have an audio translation, but you can follow up with the topics right on the chat. Yeah.
I just realized that I think the translations went only to the panelists and not to panelists and attendees. So I think that's what's creating the confusion.
Okay. So we will post them again to everybody. Thank you, Julie, for your contribution. I will just make a participant again of you and take on the next in our list, and that will be Cyril.
What is lacking today for most part of the essential jobs is that they are not even paid and are not considered being jobs. Hello,
Hello.
do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna try it, even though I'm pretty shy and it's not so normal, ordinary for me to speak in English, but I will try. What are the essential jobs lacking today? What I think is lacking is that most essential jobs are not even considered being jobs, and that they're mostly done by women who are not even getting paid. And I'm talking about emotional labor, doing the house, also le ménage, faire le ménage, doing the household, I don't know how to say it. Sometimes they don't get a lot of reward because they have a pretty low salary, or they're getting nothing at all. And there are some studies like feminist economists who concentrate on what a big part this work is of the GDP, of the gross domestic product. And there are studies that show that those activities can make up to a third of the GDP, which is not even measured, which is not even calculated, which is a problem for itself. What had been forgotten and suddenly got visible, that those people, it's not visible right now, but it should be obvious that those people are not getting rewarded enough. And what a problem, we see a central problem, and that is violence at your own home, that some or a lot of women can face. So that was my answer for the first question, and I'm done.
Thank you. I will just try to figure out who was next. Yeah, I think it's better to stop this screen. This is all a little bit...
I think next we had Antonia.
Okay.
Antonia Ganeto.
It's Antonia. Thank you, Cyril. I will just make you a spectator again.
Antonia, tu dois allumer ton microphone. Oui, voilà.
Et, attends.
Voilà, c'est bon, on t'entend.
Oh, d'accord, ça va. Bonjour, j'ai participé donc à la première grève des femmes et je dois dire que c'était une première parce que le sujet a été choisi avec beaucoup de justesse, puisque nous avons déjà mis à l'honneur tous ces métiers qui sont essentiels aujourd'hui, les métiers autour du soin, et qui sont très souvent déconsidérés. Et le deuxième point, il faut dire que la GIF a tout de suite mis en avant deux groupes, ou un peu plus de deux groupes, de femmes qui sont normalement invisibles dans notre bloc. Donc, je suis la porte-parole de FINCAPé, réseau afrodescendant Luxembourg, et nous avons mobilisé une trentaine d'afrodescendantes, de femmes racisées, pour participer à cette grève. Et c'était une première pour nous. Nous avons beaucoup investi pour encourager les femmes d'abord de prendre position, de s'articuler et surtout de parler pour elles-mêmes, parce que je crois que c'est essentiel que nous, en tant que minorité, nous puissions aussi au sein d'un groupe prendre la parole et dire nos particularités, les défis qui sont les nôtres. Et de ce fait, la grève était, à mon avis, un énorme succès parce que ces sujets ont été mis en lumière. Et ensuite, je pense que les défis que nous rencontrerons maintenant, à cause et peut-être grâce à cette grève, c'est que d'une part, nous allons tester à l'effectif le gouvernement. Je crois qu'il ne faut plus démontrer que nos revendications sont légitimes. Maintenant, si elles sont ignorées, s'il y a une tentative de les ignorer, il faudra réagir en conséquence. Donc ça, c'est notre défi, de prendre position et de montrer que l'absurdité de ne pas prendre en compte nos revendications. Je crois que j'ai peut-être dépassé ma minute et demie.
D'une minute, mais merci. Okay, I will just take the next one, which is Laurent, if I'm not mistaken.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, super. Yes, I was participating as a man to do a women's strike, and I was very, very happy that it was open to men and that men could participate. I think that was a very good initiative, although it appears somewhat normal to someone who on the left spectrum of politics. I think that many men and women still consider the fight for women for their basic treated equally and paid normally as a matter of men versus women, which is maybe some statistically it's not the case. I think it's a development that goes too slow, and I warmly encourage the women to also tap on those men that are willing to support their fight, and not only their fight, but the fight of basically anybody who suffers from not being treated in an equal right type of way, as it should be the case. Just a small bracket from my end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have time for one other person. It will be Natalie. Hello?
Oui, bonjour. Oui, vous m'entendez?
Oui.
Ok. Moi, je voulais effectivement dire un mot sur le care, de nouveau les soignants et les soignantes, surtout les soignantes, effectivement, parce que c'est un métier très féminisé, où nous avons vu l'importance avec une réelle panique qui a été faite, parce qu'il y a surtout des frontalières, des frontaliers et des frontalières qui viennent soigner nos patients et patientes au Luxembourg. Et je pense que ça comme ça a été dit déjà avant, il faudra maintenir les revendications que nous avons faites aussi pendant la grève des femmes à laquelle j'ai participé aussi, et pour valoriser les métiers que nous venons d'énumérer, et surtout celles aussi des frontaliers, des frontalières. Ok, c'est tout ce que je voulais dire.
Ok, thank you. There's a question in the chat for Milena and Jessica. Maybe you want to answer it. Or we can answer it later.
So it's about Tom's question?
The one with not getting the opposition between bullshit jobs and essential jobs, and if this opposition is not putting bullshit jobs or people that do bullshit jobs or at risk or stigmatize them.
So I can maybe say a few words about that. So bullshit jobs is not, when Graeber wrote the book, he didn't himself define what the bullshit jobs. So he actually asked people if they think that the job that they do has any importance to the world, and if not, why so? And it was a call on Twitter that he did that followed up afterwards with a proper survey in the UK, where actually only 50% of the people that replied said that they were sure that their job was useful to society. And there were 37% that was sure that their job actually was not useful at all. So the bullshit jobs is not, our point is not, or Graeber's point and our point using him, is not to stigmatize people who are doing these jobs, because they are the first usually suffering from it. The idea is just, how come do we have so many jobs that are actually not doing anything? And why are we even bullshitizing essential jobs? So if you look at, for example, education, academia, you take academia, which is obviously, we all agree, an essential job. We understand that it brings an important contribution. But then again, academia has increasingly been burdened with bureaucracies and supervision and this type of middleman in between that bullshitize kind of education. So you even have bullshit jobs in the essential jobs. The idea here is really not to say that some professionals are more important than others and to oppose people, but just to say that we increasingly create jobs that have actually no real function and no real use to society, and we give them a certain value. And then on the other side, we have essential jobs. I take an easy example that I know well. It's the cleaning stuff. It is something that is seen as a non-qualified job. It is paid as a non-qualified job and valued as such in society. But it is very clear that today cleaning stuff are extremely important. It is the most essential of all. I mean, obviously we think of the nurses and the doctors, but what about the prevention? And the prevention is done with the cleaning stuff. So it's more a reflection on why do we value some jobs more than others, and what are the jobs that we really can't live without. So that was actually our point.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. We will move on now to the next topic. I can show it very shortly for you. The question is this the worst crisis since 1929 versus social dialogue? And the input will be coming from David. He's a former journalist at the left-wing ecological newspaper Vox. he's a long-time activist in different social, anti-racist, refugee and labor movements. And he works on social movements, particularly the labor and trade union movement. So I will stop the slide and give the word to David.
Merci Joël. Alors moi je vais continuer en français. Donc avec un sujet qui est quand même étroitement lié aussi au sujet qu'on a vu avant, puisque quand on parle de valorisation de métiers essentiels et justement des métiers qui se trouvent en première ligne actuellement, il faut évidemment aussi parler de la forme organisée du travail, c'est-à-dire du mouvement ouvrier et du mouvement syndical en général, et des dangers, mais aussi des perspectives que cette crise peut ouvrir pour le mouvement ouvrier. Donc voilà, comme toutes les crises du capitalisme, la crise actuelle, et surtout au-delà encore de la crise sanitaire, la crise économique qui va suivre, qui pour certains économistes et d'autres serait la pire depuis 1929, contribuera très certainement à renforcer les antagonismes et les contradictions déjà existantes dans nos sociétés. C'est-à-dire que, comme c'est toujours le cas dans le cadre de ce genre de crise, le capital dont les marges seront attaquées et dont les marges risqueront de diminuer tentera, comme dans la dernière crise, de sécuriser ses bénéfices et ses profits en lançant de nouveau des attaques contre les acquis historiques du mouvement ouvrier, contre ce qui reste aussi de l'État-providence et de droits sociaux, aussi contre les droits de négociation et directement contre les syndicats en tant qu'organisation des salariés, en tant qu'organisation des travailleurs et des travailleuses. Ce qui est intéressant, c'est qu'au Luxembourg, en fait, ce processus s'inscrit ou risque de s'inscrire dans quelque chose qui a déjà été amorcé avant cette crise, c'est-à-dire à une attaque qu'on a vue donc fin de l'année dernière du patronat luxembourgeois, notamment de l'UEL, qui est la fédération du patronat luxembourgeois, une attaque contre ce qu'on appelle communément le modèle social luxembourgeois, c'est-à-dire un modèle qui depuis donc, la crise du pétrole, la crise de l'acier, est basé sur le partenariat et le dialogue social. Donc, truc très luxembourgeois, tripartite, etc. Cette attaque est donc intervenue au Luxembourg plus tard qu'ailleurs. Donc, il faut dire qu'ailleurs en Europe, ce processus ou cette attaque du modèle du dialogue social qui s'est installé avec les années après-guerre, avec la prospérité économique, etc., quand il y avait de l'argent à distribuer, cette attaque a déjà eu lieu ailleurs. Au Luxembourg, le modèle a pu survivre, notamment grâce à différents facteurs, mais notamment aussi grâce à l'importance relative des syndicats, mais aussi du rôle historique de la social-démocratie. Et comme d'autres processus, ce processus donc, qui met en cause le modèle du dialogue social va, à mon avis, dans mon analyse, être accéléré par la crise donc, du coronavirus et la crise économique qui va suivre. Donc, il y a d'autres processus qui, à mon avis, vont être accélérés, notamment le processus de digitalisation, d'ubérisation de l'économie et du monde du travail. Et je crois que tout ça est étroitement lié. Hein. Donc, je crois que le fait qu'on verra une accélération de ce processus de retour d'une confrontation plus ou moins ouverte entre capital et travail en dehors des formes codifiées du dialogue social est étroitement lié aussi à un processus de digitalisation et d'ubérisation de la société, de l'économie et du monde du travail. On le voit d'ailleurs actuellement aussi dans le cadre de la crise et de la gestion des crises que c'est très difficile d'avoir ce qu'on appelle donc un dialogue social et que des décisions sont prises sans réelle concertation, qu'on est mis devant des faits accomplis, etc. Donc j'ai un peu pour théoriser ça en quelque sorte, j'ai emprunté à une analyse donc, qui m'a plu du syndicalisme luxembourgeois, donc du mouvement syndical luxembourgeois. C'est une analyse donc, du journaliste Bernard Thomas qu'il a fait dans le journal, dans l'hebdomadaire Le Tsiboyaland, et qui parle en fait du passage d'un syndicalisme de la guerre de position à un syndicalisme de la guerre de mouvement. Donc, j'ai brièvement juste expliqué ces notions. Donc, communément, donc la guerre de position, c'est comme la guerre de tranchées, c'est un peu le même concept. C'est une guerre qui s'installe sur un lieu et qui dure, et où il y a des petites avancées, on recule un peu, on avance un peu, mais sans d'avancée rapide et conséquente, où on reste vraiment dans une logique de défense, d'attaque, mais sans réellement faire de grands mouvements. Elle s'oppose à la guerre de mouvement, donc qui est une guerre rapide, et c'est un concept qui a été politisé par Antonio Gramsci, donc dirigeant communiste italien, qui a voulu en fait distinguer la stratégie donc de la révolution russe, des bolcheviks, de prise du pouvoir rapide, d'une nouvelle stratégie que devaient trouver les partis communistes après l'échec des révolutions en Europe, dans le sillon de la révolution russe, donc celle d'une guerre de position où il s'agit plutôt d'une lutte de longue haleine et sur plusieurs fronts, où il faut défendre des acquis, essayer d'avancer un peu, etc. Bernard Thomas, donc, dont j'utilise un peu l'analyse, je le cite, donc ce qu'il dit donc sur notamment le modèle social luxembourgeois, il dit « Assagi par des décennies de syndicalisme assis, l'OGBL, donc le principal syndicat luxembourgeois, semble inquiet à l'idée d'abandonner sa traditionnelle guerre de position, la tripartite avec ses tranchées délimitées et sa lourde superstructure, au profit d'une nouvelle guerre de mouvement qui risquera de dévoiler sa faiblesse. » Donc, le passage d'une guerre de position qui est très codifiée, qui est en quelque sorte qui se joue dans une arène prédéfinie où tout le monde connaît les règles du jeu et où tout le monde applique aussi les règles du jeu, à une guerre de mouvement avec des attaques massives ciblées donc du capital contre le travail organisé, va forcément mettre les structures qui sont assez anciennes, lourdes, souvent bureaucratiques, des centrales syndicales européennes, internationales et luxembourgeoises devant de grands défis. Mais comme tout défi, et ça, donc c'est le point positif, sans trop vouloir maintenant partir dans les perspectives et toujours rester sur l'analyse de ce qui se passe actuellement. Donc la perspective, ça sera pour le prochain séminaire. Mais comme tout défi, ça peut aussi être compris comme une chance, notamment celle de redémocratiser, de redynamiser et de ranimer le mouvement syndical européen, mais aussi luxembourgeois, qui a en effet été assagi par des décennies de syndicalisme qui se passait derrière des portes closes, un syndicalisme de négociation, de dialogue social, vers un syndicalisme beaucoup plus combatif, plus revendicatif et se recentrant en quelque sorte sur les fondements même du mouvement ouvrier. Voilà.
Thank you, David. I will just show you very shortly the questions David has prepared. Will the corona crisis put an end to the social dialogue in Luxembourg? What challenges does the virus present to the labor and trade movement? And war of position or war of movement? David, maybe you want to translate them in French shortly.
Mm-hmm. Ouais. En gros, c'était la crise du coronavirus mettra-t-elle fin au modèle du dialogue social? Devant quel défi le virus met-il le mouvement ouvrier et syndical? Et guerre de position ou guerre de mouvement?
Okay, thank you. Who wants to be the first to say something? We have Tom there. Please just put a point in there. It's the easiest for us. But it's okay. And please try to limit yourself to 90 seconds. I will try to make funny faces or wave my hands or do something so you have a visual cue that your time is up. Hello, Tom. We can't hear you.
Okay, I forgot to put my mic on. Now you should hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were talking about unionism there, and the struggles that we will go through over this crisis. Now, I hold a strong belief that just through the growing contradictions of society, we will move towards the end goal of, be it reform or revolution at the end, whatever it will be. But this crisis right now is being a big accelerator for the contradictions within society. So it's getting way more blatant right now who is at the top and who is at the bottom. And if we are probably growing much closer towards the point where this is unbearable, I think that unions overall, but also like the left in general, are not at the point right now where we could really much profit as we are talking now. I do think there's some things to be done. This might be for other sessions, but I think one of the most important things is that we are at one of the turning points because of this crisis, where it is more than important and more than necessary for us to like do something right now and be kind of out there and just start being more aggressive. I think that's kind of what we have to do towards this. And I'm not saying aggressive like in like a violent way, but being more assertive towards dialogue in society and being more of a force, I say, out there. Yeah, that would be my point there.
Je résume peut-être rapidement en français. Selon Tom, on se trouve dans un point vraiment qui rend les inégalités dans notre société bien plus visibles et que les syndicats et les mouvements de gauche en général ne sont peut-être pas préparés pour répondre avec la force et la rapidité nécessaires. Et que c'est le moment vraiment de venir d'avancer avec des revendications courageuses et agressives, pas forcément agressives dans le sens de violence, mais dans le sens d'avoir des revendications bien assertives. Voilà.
Okay, we have our next guest. So.
Ok. Ah oui, je peux y aller, vous m'entendez?
Oui.
Ok, d'accord, merci. Merci. Oui, deux choses rapidement. Oui, en effet, je crois que cette chose du dialogue social, si on peut l'appeler ainsi, a perduré durant une certaine période, surtout lorsque la sidérurgie au Luxembourg constituait un énorme bloc, et donc un bloc stratégique quasiment aussi, et qui pouvait permettre, dans une période comme ça des 30 glorieuses, afin de calmer également la classe salariale, qui pouvait lui permettre d'arracher un certain nombre de revendications. Mais évidemment, ceci n'est plus le cas depuis un certain temps, donc il y a encore, malgré tout, il y a toujours une grande partie du salariat qui existe, mais qui est beaucoup plus atomisée, voire qui est dans une position de faiblesse, d'autant plus, comme on l'a dit dans le panel précédent, beaucoup de ces métiers sont exercés par des gens qui ne sont pas luxembourgeois, par des femmes, et non pas par une grosse masse d'ouvriers comme ce fut le cas. Mais, et donc la question qui se pose, c'est de savoir est-ce que le dialogue social n'est déjà pas terminé d'une certaine manière? Est-ce qu'il ne s'est pas déjà terminé avant le coronavirus? Je pense que c'est le cas. Ça peut être intéressant, évidemment, sauf que l'initiative, c'est le patronat qui l'a prise d'une certaine manière ou qui est en train de la prendre. Mais la seconde chose qui se pose, c'est justement maintenant, comme on vient de le voir tout à l'heure sur les métiers essentiels, c'est que stratégiquement, ça devient intéressant. C'est-à-dire que on est en train de voir quels travaux sont essentiels et lesquels ne le sont pas. Et justement, ça c'est la question, mais ça sera pour la prochaine fois au niveau des perspectives. Il y a un moyen, il y a un levier de pouvoir qui s'est établi justement pour ces catégories de personnes qui travaillent essentiellement et qui peuvent justement faire pression et enclencher aussi la lutte.
Ok, merci. C'était déjà 2 minutes.
Excusez-moi.
That's okay. So we want to have our next participant. We have David in the list, but we want to have, normally we would have a woman first. But if there's a woman who wants to say something, say it now, please, in the chat. Otherwise, I will just invite David to say something.
Nous avons aussi un commentaire dans le chat, peut-être je le lis juste rapidement parce que c'est peut-être intéressant, qui dit qu'historiquement, les grèves populaires renforcent la perception de la propre force et de champ d'action, et le moyen de la grève devrait être un moyen permanent de lutte. Donc, ça parle de grève, c'est peut-être intéressant. Peut-être, David, comme tu prends la parole, tu pourras peut-être réagir.
Ok, je réagis alors directement aux deux interventions et aux commentaires donc, qui sont venus avant. Donc, peut-être directement juste par rapport au point de la grève, qui est intéressant, mais qui justement souligne en fait ce que j'ai cité avant de l'article de Bernard Thomas, qui disait quand on passe dans une guerre de mouvement, la faiblesse risque du mouvement syndical risque aussi d'être dévoilée, parce qu'une grève, c'est toujours, je veux dire, une grève, c'est toujours un moyen, évidemment, d'obtenir des acquis et aussi de renforcer la perception et la conscience de classe aussi parmi les salariés. Mais c'est aussi un risque, hein, un risque de s'affaiblir et de ne plus pouvoir brandir la menace, mais de vraiment devoir agir et de devoir vraiment entrer dans un vrai rapport de force. Et je pense que c'est justement ça aussi l'intérêt qu'a eu jusqu'ici. Et donc là, ça parle aussi, ça répond aussi un peu à ce que David il a dit. L'intérêt aussi du mouvement syndical de défendre ce modèle de dialogue social jusqu'ici, c'est un peu ça aussi, parce que quand on sort de ce cadre très codifié, très encadré du dialogue social, on se retrouve dans le rapport de force ouvert, où vraiment ce qui compte, c'est qui arrive le mieux, enfin qui est le plus fort. Hein, et là, on entrera dans un rapport de force où il faudra montrer ses forces, où il faudra montrer à quel point on est capable de mobiliser. Est-ce qu'on est capable de mobiliser combien de personnes, on est capable de mobiliser combien de temps, on est capable de durer, etc. Donc c'est vraiment à partir de ce moment-là, les luttes sociales vont être beaucoup plus dures et comparables à ce qu'on voit dans d'autres pays, contrairement à ce qu'on a pu voir au Luxembourg jusqu'ici. Et juste pour terminer, je pense que ce qui est vraiment intéressant pour le mouvement ouvrier et syndical dans cette crise, c'est cette espèce de conscience de classe qui a été, qui peut être regagnée à travers donc aussi cette solidarité et le fait de mettre en avant certains métiers.
Okay,
Voilà.
okay, thank you. I think we will have to move to the next block because we have a lot of other topics we want to discuss, and the next one will be science versus skepticism. I will just present you the next presenter. It's Christian Treinen. He studies educational science at the University of Vienna. The thematic focus of his studies is the link between educational philosophy and educational policy. He is writing his master's thesis on how the OECD produces political reality through supposedly objective science, thus making the neoliberal worldview hegemonic. This topic also corresponds with the interest of his political work, which has been expressed in the last 10 years through participation in various left-wing political groups in Vienna and Luxembourg. So, Chris, now it's your turn.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to do this presentation in English because I study in Vienna, so my French isn't that good anymore. So, yes, the translation will be in the chat. The current corona crisis seems to create a new understanding of science. The new stars of the world are not movie heroes anymore, but scientists who explain to people how the coronavirus will behave and how this will affect the future. Suddenly, it seems that the experts are the voice of reason and rationality. Obviously, there are still people today who question the scientific competence of the medical professionals. but the majority follow the recommendations of science and politics. It seems that the times are forgotten when various climate scientists called for radical changes to the system in order to keep negative consequences for the world's population at large at a minimum. Scientists are being ignored and their demands are seen as unworkable. In regards to the climate crisis, neither politicians nor the populations have listened to the scientists' demand. Quite the opposite is happening now during the corona crisis. How will the relationship between science and society develop in the future? Science is, of course, never objective or neutral because the benefits are determined by the capitalist system. Science is increasingly promoted because it provides the necessary data for technological progress. But even science is a victim of capitalism. For example, are governments cutting university fundings more and more. This leads to a situation where institutions have to resort to money from companies for their research, which then leads to students doing research for companies, for free, of course. Institutes are more and more put under the dictate of capital, and the capitalist hegemony is socially consolidated. The University of Luxembourg, for example, plays an important role here. Natural scientific research in particular is massively promoted in order to achieve usability for the economy. There is no strict separation of state and university at the legal level as in other countries, for example, Austria or Germany. The Luxembourgish state particularly promotes research, which can then be taken over and used by companies for free. There will be also the struggle, here we also have the struggle between some parts of natural science and some parts of social science. The natural sciences provide data which are increasingly used for rationalization and thus also for the supposed solution of social problems and get the funds from the government. The funding of critical social science is being cut back more and more, which leads to an increase in this technocratic perspective. The problem which we encounter now is that it is not possible to rationalize social areas, which leads, for example, to a reduction of beds in hospitals, to a lack of study places, or, for example, to a deficit of cleaning staff in public institutions. In addition, the role of scientists has changed in recent years. We must distinguish between experts and intellectuals. Intellectuals, for example, are acting in the public area and they exchange arguments. Experts usually have partial specialist knowledge and stand at the levels of power to drive the implementation and control of decisions. For example, experts in governments. The concept of experts is an American concept, which from an historical perspective has found its way into Europe through the influence of the OECD, which was responsible for the neoliberal restructuring of European welfare states. The struggle for the hegemony of science is the struggle about the way we see and understand the world. What we need to do now is to discuss the relationship between science and society in order to clarify which meaningful improvements science can bring and which changes will only consolidate the neoliberal capitalist order. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Christian. Here are your questions. What can we learn from the relationship between science and society in regard to Corona? And how can this knowledge be applied to other problems such as climate change in the future? How can science be given more importance between fake news and arrogant expertise? So I switch back to the normal view so I can see everybody. Who wants to say something about this?
Mara wordt gemeld.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, I'm unmuted now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the first question was what I briefly wanted to say something about. And basically, I think one way, when we look, for instance, at the number of views and clicks that the AfD pages in Germany get right now, which during times of false news and stuff, have had super big reaches in the last, years and stuff. And right now, there is kind of I feel for myself that there is a shift in turning back and actually looking for reliable and serious sources of news instead of instead of trusting these outlets such as, for instance, AfD sites and web pages that really disseminate false news all the time. So I think I see that as a positive thing, that there's in some ways turning back to people are turning back to news sources or turning back to listen to experts and actually try and look for what is true and what are reliable facts. Yeah, that's all I had to say.
So thank you, Mara. Is there anybody who wants to reply or say something further about the role of science? There's Christian.
I just wanted to reply to Mara. The difference between the climate change, in my opinion, and the corona crisis is that the corona crisis is somehow a materialistic reality. You get it. You see, okay, this virus is killing people all over the world, even Europeans and Americans. The problem with the climate change is that most parts of the European or Western states are not really hit by the climate change. So people still don't feel it, and yeah. So I think that's the biggest difference between fake news and like this materialistic reality who hits people in the face. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there somebody else who wants to reply to that, to say something? I mean, if there's nobody, we can also move to the next block. If that's okay with everybody? Yeah, okay. I wanted to say that the next block would be about the human virus, or about the climate crisis, more exactly. So that will be me. So I need to introduce myself, which I maybe should have done before we started. My name is Joel, and I'm a journalist at the leftist ecologic newspaper Vox, just like David was some years ago. I have also been in activist contexts in Luxembourg and also in Vienna. Mainly students' protests, but also a little bit of environmental protests and so on. I've studied the whole environmental and political interconnections in a very fancy study, which in German is called Umwelt- und Bioressourcenmanagement. I can't translate that, and nobody will be able to translate it in French. It is a little bit of a bullshit name for a very interesting program. So I will talk about the climate crisis now. While the world is on lockdown, the climate crisis is not on hold. Right now, emissions have been reduced due to travel bans and shutdowns of factories. As with economic crisis before, we expect a bump in the growing emissions. Still, the reduction that we will see now due to this crisis is nowhere near where it should be. For example, the website carbonbrief.com is expecting a 1% decline in China's CO2 emissions for this year. After the big climate demonstrations we saw last year, everybody should be aware that this isn't enough. There's a serious risk that governments will set climate and environmental policies on hold or even cut them back to help the recovery of the economy. We are already seeing airlines and automobile manufacturers lobbying governments to bail them out or to cut back emissions targets so they will be able to recover economically from the coming crisis. And the climate crisis is worse than COVID-19 by order of magnitudes. A lot more people will die, human and natural habitats will be changed completely or even destroyed. If we don't cut emissions fast, we will miss the already bad-looking target of 2 degrees global warming and get 3 or 4 degrees. And a lot of cities around the globe will become unlivable. The global food system will collapse. And just in case you like this pandemic, maybe we will have a retro pandemic with pathogens from the thawing permafrost. I say this without hyperbole. Mad Max will look like an amusement park for little children if we get above 3 or 4 degrees global warming. All these effects will be particularly bad for the global south and poor people in the global north. The climate crisis is not the only ecological crisis right now. We are overstepping the planetary boundaries on a variety of topics, such as biodiversity loss and biogeochemical flows. We are using too much resources. We are polluting the air, we are acidifying the oceans and throwing away too much waste. Air pollution, and that's not to be confused with greenhouse emissions. Air pollution is things like NOx or particulate matter, has also gone down with the lockdown from COVID-19. This is good news because air pollution is a major cause of respiratory diseases. Journalistic investigations by the New York Times has shown that there have been more COVID-19 related deaths in cities with heavy air pollution. Climate change, habitat loss, deforestation are linked to the spread of new viruses that live in wild animals. And often these animals are just the reservoir, so they don't get sick by the virus, but we humans, we get sick. And if we destroy the habitats, they come to us and we will get infected. However, it should be clear that COVID-19 is not a wake-up call for Mother Nature, as some claimed, but it is only a reminder that we are part of this planet and we need to find a way to live in a sustainable way. You have all heard the motivating motto of flatten the curve, which has convinced everybody to stay at home. And we need to do the same with the environment, but the environmental curves are much steeper, and the boundaries of our planet cannot easily be pushed by producing new medical equipment or having new beds in hospitals. However, this crisis has shown that governments around the world can react quickly and strongly to a crisis if they want to. So that's for me. I was only 1 minute over my 3-minute limit, as I saw. So you will have the questions now. What lessons can we learn from the political response to the COVID-19 crisis? What are the risks and opportunities for the climate movement right now? And is the link between human health and environmental protection stressed enough at the moment? So I will now take questions. I would just have to look who's in line. Is there already somebody in line?
Il y a une question dans le chat. Peut-être je la lis et si quelqu'un veut répondre. Donc la question c'est, est-ce que les décès sont liés à la concentration de population indépendamment de la qualité de l'air?
No. There is a link, and it's quite logical, because if the air pollution is bad, if you have a lot of air pollution in a city, you have a lot of deaths or health issues that are related to the air pollution, that are related to your lungs and so on. So if you already have this predisposition because you breathe a lot of polluted air, COVID-19, which is a respiratory disease, will hit you harder. So I can look for the link of the investigation of the New York Times and will post it somewhere.
Donc, la réponse est que non, qu'effectivement, dans le cas du Covid-19, il est assez clair que les personnes vivant dans des environnements plus pollués sont plus vulnérables au virus parce qu'elles ont déjà des prédispositions et des maladies antérieures. Donc, c'est quelque chose, je sais pas, je vais juste ajouter un commentaire aussi, c'est quelque chose qui est assez visible aux États-Unis, dans certains endroits où vraiment les endroits plus pollués, il y a un pourcentage énorme de gens comparant à d'autres endroits qui est dans une situation plus critique et plus avancée dans le virus, donc qui est liée à l'environnement des endroits où les gens vivent.
Okay, is there somebody else who wants to talk about climate change and the corona crisis or COVID-19 crisis, who has some views on the climate movement? Will it lose its momentum now, or is that okay? We have Tom. Just one moment.
And sorry, there's also Raquel who said that she wanted to say something, but it goes beyond the questions. So I'm not sure if, okay, it's just feedback. Okay, we can, the feedback maybe post it in the Q&A questions.
Thank you. Okay. So it's your turn now, Tom. You have to put on your audio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so just quickly, I wanted to add something in the broader terms. Already in your title, you put it like the human virus, and I don't want to put words in your mouth now, but there has been a general kind of narrative been spun around this whole crisis that it is not the virus that is killing us, but humans are a virus to the earth and something. And while I do agree that the humans are to some degree a problem to pollution, of course, like it is us after all we're doing is, I think this whole narrative of the humans being the problem or the virus to the world is a rather dangerous one, since it lends itself especially well to way more dangerous ideologies that we have seen popping up in the last years, like as an example, eco-fascism or something like that. Because I do not think this is a problem that is caused by humanity as such. Of course, humanity is the ones who are doing it, but it's rather a problem of capitalism. So I think saying that it is the human virus is not really grasping the problem. And you haven't done this, especially in your term. I think you have made it quite clear, but I just wanted to add this, that we shouldn't fall into this narrative of humans are the problems, because after all, it is capitalism. I consider this problem.
Thank you. I just will respond very quickly to it. Yeah, you're right. I even wrote an article at Vox where I argued against this human virus. We took it to a little bit as a clickbait, so people would come to our seminar. But I think nobody thinks that the humans are a virus. Yeah.
We have 2 questions in the chat, or 2 comments. So first is from Maurice, who is asking if we are not currently seeing the limited power governments have with regards to major crises, especially due to its dependency on economic perseverance. So that's one. And then we have la Porta qui dit concernant l'écologie, ce qui ne va pas améliorer la situation, c'est la 5G qui est en train d'être installée alors que certains scientifiques ont prouvé que celle-là peut être un danger pour l'humanité. Il faut stopper cette initiative qui est devenue une guerre entre la Chine et les États-Unis. Voilà. Donc 2 commentaires très différents. Je ne sais pas si quelqu'un d'entre nous ou quelqu'un d'autre veut réagir.
I will say something to the 5G thing. I think that's a conspiracy theory. I think it's proven that it is a conspiracy theory. And I think your microwave and your cordless phone you had in your house for the last 30 years are far more dangerous than 5G will ever be. Sorry to say. And to the comment of Maurice, I don't really have a good answer to that because, yeah, you're right, that we are seeing this, we are seeing the limited power, and we are seeing how important the economy or the survival of the economy is judged, especially now with the discussions about an exit strategy for the lockdown. And but I still think we see that if there is a crisis and if there are really lives at stake, governments do react. So the question is, why is the climate crisis not seen as a crisis that will kill far more people than Corona ever will? But yeah, I will try to be the moderator again. If there's somebody who wants to say something to climate and environment, now is the time. Otherwise, we will move on to the next topic. There's
We have Mark Baum.
Yeah, I saw it. We will have him on the panel soon.
Oui, voilà, vous m'entendez?
Oui.
D'abord, je voulais faire un petit statement sur la relation entre écologie et coronavirus. D'abord, en ce qui concerne les causes du coronavirus, il faut constater qu'il s'agit d'abord d'une destruction massive d'habitats naturels qui font que le coronavirus a su faire le saut des animaux vers les humains. Et donc, c'est la production capitaliste qui est en fait, la production capitaliste globalisée qui est en fait responsable en quelque sorte de l'émergence du virus pour les humains. Puis la propagation, aussi une question des causes, la globalisation et surtout les chaînes de production absolument irrationnelles qu'on produit des éléments en Asie, qu'on les monte en Afrique et qu'on les vend en Europe font que le virus avec une vitesse jamais vue pu se propager. Et puis, ce qui, à mon avis, nous fait espoir, c'est la question écologique, en fait, ou la question du climat, nous doit mener à changer radicalement notre mode de production et notre mode de consommation. Et maintenant, nous sommes obligés, tout un chacun est confiné, on est obligé de changer notre mode de production et de consommation, et on le fait en ce moment-là. Et donc, je crois que le temps est assez propice pour faire des changements qui sont justement liés à ces questions qui sont d'ordre social et écologique. Merci.
Thank you, Mark. The next participant, Mona. So it's your turn now.
Hello, I just wanted to talk about the opportunities that the climate movement has. So I think what we've already discussed is that it's important to show the links between capitalism, so like the way we produce, the way we live, and the climate crisis. And I think that is something that has to be made more visible. But I think that the opportunity through this crisis is that now we have these examples with the air pollution, for example, or how, like the example that was just stated, that there are regions that are deforested, and so animals are like pushed to other regions. So I think that's like the opportunity that I see, that we have these examples now that are being shown now, and we don't really have to like wait a long time to really have examples and push these discussions further. That's it.
Thank you, Mona.
Je vais juste lire aussi un commentaire qu'on a eu dans le chat qui dit, par Aaron, qui dit « Il faut sortir du trinôme travail, production, consommation et repenser un monde globalisé et une réduction du temps de travail qui serait une revendication qui devrait être mise au focus de toute activité économique. Solidarité et non concurrence entre tous les continents. »
Merci. Thank you. I think we will get to the next topic as we already only have half an hour left. Next topic is Jeff Bezos versus the Commons. And that will be made by Svenin, David, and Milena. So it's your turn now.
Donc moi, je vais commencer par la question. Donc, en gros, c'est en 3 parties, juste pour expliquer rapidement. C'est une partie service public, accès aux services publics, aux infrastructures, aux biens communs, propriété des infrastructures, et puis la question brûlante au Luxembourg, c'est donc le logement. Je commence donc par la première partie, qui est celle donc de l'accès aux services publics et aux infrastructures. Donc, évidemment, la crise sanitaire pose la question de cet accès plus que jamais. Évidemment, pour ce qui est des infrastructures médicales, mais aussi pour ce qui est de l'éducation, transport, télécommunications, mais aussi les aides sociales ou d'autres infrastructures sociales. Les décennies passées, donc avec en quelque sorte la marche triomphale du néolibéralisme, surtout depuis la chute de l'Union soviétique, mais déjà amorcée avant, ont vu un grand nombre de services publics être privatisés à travers le monde et aussi à travers l'Europe. Et la mainmise de l'État sur ces infrastructures publiques a été remplacée par une vision d'un pouvoir étatique qui limiterait son emprise sur les missions régaliennes, donc la défense, la sécurité, la justice, et sur la défense de la propriété privée. Donc, on est vraiment dans une vision très néolibérale de l'État, du rôle de l'État. Il a longtemps été rabâché et répété que la propriété publique de ces services serait un frein à leur efficacité et à leur modernisation. Et les services et les infrastructures qui sont restés publics ont souvent été réorganisés selon les préceptes du management et de la gestion privée, en s'attaquant au passage au statut des personnes qui travaillent dans ces services. Évidemment, la crise sanitaire actuelle montre plus que jamais donc l'impasse dans laquelle ces politiques que j'appelle thatchériennes ont mené nos sociétés. La chose la plus visible, évidemment, c'est le manque de lits d'hôpitaux ou le manque de personnel dans les hôpitaux, dans les urgences, mais aussi la dépendance de chaînes de production mondialisées pour ce qui est des masques, des équipements de protection, etc. Mais aussi, on le voit avec tout ce qui est enseignement à distance et tout ça, la gestion décentralisée et libéralisée de l'éducation, qui sont autant de circonstances qui découlent de décisions politiques très concrètes et qui compliquent la situation et rendent beaucoup plus dramatique la pandémie en ces moments même. Le secteur hospitalier, je crois que c'est clair, montre vraiment où ces préceptes néolibéraux ne peuvent tout simplement pas marcher. Comment rendre rentable un secteur où la qualité du service dépend en fait en quelque sorte du temps que les personnes peuvent donner pour soigner d'autres personnes, alors que les recettes néolibérales impliquent de réduire les effectifs, donc de réduire le temps disponible, ce qui ne peut mener qu'à une détérioration de la qualité de ces services. Au Luxembourg, particulièrement, la question de l'accès aux infrastructures et aux services publics est aussi une question géographique et démographique. Le pays étant une espèce d'agglomération unique, peu comparable à d'autres modèles ou à d'autres pays, et la crise du logement, dont nous parlerons juste après, ainsi que l'organisation géographique du pays, poussant les classes populaires toujours plus loin des centres urbains, dans des régions mal desservies, et maintenant de plus en plus aussi au-delà des frontières. J'ai dit aussi donc, que c'était une question aussi démographique, avec un pays donc, qui a un modèle économique basé sur la main-d'œuvre, en large partie sur une main-d'œuvre frontalière, qui permet une croissance sans croissance, donc une croissance économique sans la croissance de la population qui va avec, et donc dans la théorie, sans les coûts liés aux investissements dans les infrastructures qui devraient aller avec. Milena.
La crise actuelle ne pose pas uniquement la question de l'accès aux services publics et aux infrastructures, mais elle pose aussi la question à qui appartiennent ces infrastructures. Avec le confinement et la fermeture des écoles, Internet et notamment les plateformes et les réseaux sociaux sont devenus plus importants que jamais. Toute la communication et l'enseignement, mais aussi, nous en sommes la preuve, l'activisme politique repose actuellement et certainement encore pour une certaine durée sur ces plateformes marchandes. La propriété de ces réseaux est concentrée entre les mains de quelques ultra-riches. La crise actuelle accélérant considérablement les processus de digitalisation et de prévalence de ce qu'on appelle le platform capitalism, la question de la propriété de ces infrastructures, plus essentielles que jamais, devient brûlante. En effet, le pouvoir dont disposent les GAFA et leurs propriétaires est en train d'augmenter rapidement et massivement. Que se passerait-il si Facebook déciderait d'un jour au lendemain, sur demande d'un gouvernement ou de son propre gré, de fermer ou de limiter l'accès à son réseau, comme ça a déjà été le cas dans certains pays? Il ne suffit pas, devant l'ampleur de ce qui se passe, de prôner un retour au local ou de vouloir se soustraire à titre individuel à l'emprise des réseaux marchands. La question principale est celle du contrôle démocratique des infrastructures et la question de la propriété des outils de production, et notamment des outils de production digitaux, est la question centrale posée à travers cette crise.
Okay, thank you, David and Milena. I will shortly show you the next questions. Will the crisis put an end to the dominance of the neoliberal model? Are we experiencing a historical acceleration of digitalization and uberization of the economy? The question of infrastructure, who owns the means of production in this field? I will also post the question in the chat now so you can see them, but you don't have to answer just these questions. You can say whatever, more or less whatever you want. And if you want to say something, type a little dot in the chat and we will...
Je l'ai traduit rapidement en français. Est-ce que la crise mettra fin à la dominance du modèle néolibéral? Vivons-nous une accélération historique du processus de digitalisation et d'ubérisation de l'économie? Et la question des infrastructures, qui possède les moyens de production? Donc Geoffrey dit non, la crise ne mettra pas fin à la dominance du modèle néolibéral. Donc ça semble être un non catégorique.
There's somebody else who wants to say something about the topic of digitalization, the neoliberal model.
J'ajouterais peut-être moi 2-3 commentaires comme quoi effectivement nous en tant qu'activistes, quand cette crise a frappé fortement le Luxembourg, nous nous sommes tout de suite posé la question comment s'organiser malgré le confinement. Et donc, nous n'avons pratiquement pas vraiment eu d'autre choix que de s'organiser sur ces plateformes qui appartiennent à ces multimilliardaires et qui, effectivement, pourraient à chaque moment nous être retirées, comme ça s'est fait, et comme Milena l'a bien dit, comme c'est déjà fait dans beaucoup d'autres endroits. Donc, peut-être pour les perspectives, c'est vraiment une question qu'il faudrait qu'on se garde en tête et une bonne question de comment se mobiliser, de comment s'organiser sur des structures quand même qui appartiennent à un système qu'on critique fortement et qui pourrait se retourner contre nous à tout moment. Donc, je réfléchis juste où.
I will add something. There are a lot of open source tools available, which are freely available. Everybody can use them. And there you have the means of production more or less in your hand, at least the software. You can use it yourself for free and you can change it if you want to, but often it's very complex, it's not very user-friendly, it's not well designed, you need to know how to operate the server, you need to know a lot of stuff. And if you don't, you can borrow a server, you can pay somebody to host your thing, but then it's also on somebody else's computer somewhere in the mysterious cloud. So it's very difficult for all to own really the means of production in this world, which is so globalized and so digitalized. And even if we have a basic understanding of how those tools work, it's very, very difficult to understand them completely and to attain the level of service that would be desirable. Like there are, for example, some alternatives to Zoom, but you need to know how to operate such a server, and you need to know how to scale for big attendance. And I don't even know if they have all these features we are using right now. And even now, we are still struggling a little bit.
Je répondrai juste rapidement, c'est aussi une question d'accès, donc les outils qu'on utilise, c'est aussi les outils qui nous permettent de toucher le plus de personnes possible, et même si on utilise Zoom ici, on utilise Facebook pour publiciter l'événement, donc on n'a pas trop le choix de ne pas passer par les réseaux les plus populaires et les plus contrôlés entre guillemets, donc même si on utilise des alternatives, on va se retrouver dans un groupe restreint de personnes qui savent utiliser ces alternatives et qui sont déjà très conscients des dangers, etc. Mais est-ce qu'on va vraiment toucher les gens qu'on aimerait toucher et joindre faire que plus de personnes se joignent à nous pour débattre? Je laisse la parole à Mona.
I feel like a lot of people, at least in my environment, are at least hoping that something will change after this crisis, but are not really getting active, so to say. So I ask myself how these people can get like active in like through this crisis at least.
Okay, thank you. That was very short.
Des commentaires sur le chat qui disent les réseaux sociaux sont des réseaux globaux et en ce sens nous font perdre une partie de notre pouvoir local.
Okay, next up is Raquel.
Hello, thanks for this webinar. I just wanted to add that according to some thinkers, right now this is the first hit to the industrialized neoliberal countries, to the system itself, no, the economic system that these countries have. And for sure it will not be the last. So for many economists, the economic system right now has been in an artificial coma for years. So whether I do believe that whether the neoliberal economic model continues or not really depends on our capacity as society to reevaluate our own identity and our political participation. Also how we define the common goods and we are able to cooperate and work together. I think it's a way bigger challenge than that of the neoliberals because their agenda is based on fear and division. And our agenda is based on solidarity, which is way more challenging than theirs. And I do think there are very good positive developments in some countries. In Spain, they are calling for the universal basic income, which I think is pretty good. Portugal also made good actions. And even in Bloomberg today, I was reading someone from the board of Bloomberg, in their opinion, they are talking also about social revolutions caused by the collapse of the economic system, but also by the current coronavirus. So we are going to have more and more people rising up, not only the climate, you have everyone on the front lines. You can have the police, you can have firefighters, the health sector, everyone that is getting affected. I think the issue is that we need to develop a clear vision of how to build together the alternative. Thanks.
Thank you. We have, I think, another. Milena wants to say something. Well.
Yeah, so I wanted to one part answer to you when you say that it's a lot of the platforms that that are open source. It's really difficult to implement them, etc. And also, as Jessica said, those are platforms that are really used only by a restrict number of people. So I think the goal would be to take over Facebook, etc. By the workers. I mean, when we talk about taking control of the means of production, we don't say everybody needs to know how to do everything, but we say that those that are working in a certain field, that they are actually controlling it, and not some bosses who take like money from it. And then the other part, what Mona was saying about getting active, I think so that this thing that we are doing right now is one of the initiatives that we took, because we are all kind of activists, and we are in this activist world, but we see that a lot of people around us that weren't really politicized or that weren't in activist circles now start to kind of be more conscious about certain things, and that's why we thought that it would be good to get together and talk about things. So first, now we are doing the analysis part, and I think your question is more going already into the perspective, and the third part, the practice of this. So I think hopefully we will find answers to that question on the second and third part of this series. And I also I wanted to respond to Raquel that, I think it's super important to have visions and to talk about utopia, and to talk about what kind of world do we want instead of this world that we live in right now. And but that's also why we are here, I think.
Okay, thank you, Milena. We will have another participant, and then we will get to the last block of this evening.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Oui, génial. Donc, juste un petit commentaire en français par rapport à la première question de est-ce que la crise mettra fin à la dominance du modèle néolibéral? Moi, je pense qu'il faut voir où est-ce que ce modèle domine. Il nous domine également dans nos têtes, dans notre imagination. Beaucoup de gens, depuis des décennies, on n'arrive pas à penser en dehors de ce modèle-là. Donc, le fameux Tina, there is no alternative. Et je pense que au plus tard, depuis la dernière crise 2008-2009, il y a eu des doutes. Il y a eu des doutes sur ce système-là, sur ce modèle-là. Et je pense que cette fois-ci, encore une fois, les doutes se sont renforcés. La brèche s'est ouverte encore plus. Et je pense que ça, c'est vraiment aussi un de nos défis pour la prochaine fois aussi, de réfléchir comment on peut ouvrir ces brèches-là, comment on peut agrandir ces doutes-là. Donc, c'était juste pour dire que je ne suis pas naïve, hein. Je ne pense pas que le modèle néolibéral va arrêter comme ça, mais à nous de creuser vraiment les doutes.
Ok, merci. Okay, then we will go to the next block, and that will be housing, and that will be presented by Sven, who hasn't written a short introduction about him, so he has to introduce himself.
Yeah, well, I would not even know how to properly introduce myself, but, well, I work mostly in the labor movement. I studied political science and history, and well, currently have been active in many political circumstances ever since. So I'll talk to you about the other major crisis in Luxembourg, which we have been experiencing since way before COVID-19, probably many years, which is of course the housing crisis. The housing crisis. It manifests itself most visibly and consistently in the evolution of prices. Between 2018 and 2019 alone, housing costs, buying as well as renting, rose by 11.4%. This is, of course, good news for landlords, not so much for tenants or future homeowners. The worst of price spikes, because they vary regionally, are to be found in the city of Luxembourg and its immediate neighboring municipalities. This, of course, means that poor people and people with a higher poverty risk are often forced to move to the outskirts or even beyond the border by economic necessity. At the same time, around 70% of all available jobs are found within city limits. This inevitably leads to increased traffic into the city as people need to take longer and longer roads to get to work. In addition, smaller apartments cost more per square meter than apartments and houses exceeding 130 square meters. So here as well, low-income people are particularly hard hit. But what does the government do about this situation? At the moment, they focus a lot of their policies on rent subsidies for tenants who have to spend a large amount of their income for rent, and on tax breaks for taking up a loan to buy a home, a first-time home. However, the rent subsidies obviously do not change anything about high rents. On the contrary, those subsidies go directly to landlords because somebody has to receive the rent, who charge exorbitant prices for apartments and houses. So this logic of subsidies, it actually goes hand in hand and even pushes this logic of the sacrosanctity of private property. So what we also get is that the Luxembourgish housing model, it severely lacks public housing options, like social housing, which means public housing for people living in the most precarious situations, like welfare, low income, etc. So we have to meet certain criteria to even be eligible. And the social housing would have to cover over 10% of all housing to meet demand, which is, I think it was like tenfold what we have now. And considering this, we still haven't talked about affordable housing in general, as more and more people who do not meet social housing criteria, so they're not on welfare, they probably get a bit higher wages, a bit over the minimum wage, but still can't afford to make ends meet because housing is so incredibly expensive. So we have to ask ourselves, why why are we in this situation? Why does the government not consider the needs of tenants when working on housing policy? Well, maybe it has to do with one simple fact that three-fourths of tenants aren't citizens of the country and therefore do not have the right to vote. So they can't vote the government out of power, so they have nothing to fear from them. Or maybe it has to do with the fact that about 75% of all building land is owned by only a handful of powerful people. It's probably both, though. And now with COVID-19, we enter we now face a double crisis in this sense. Whereas, well, fortunately, most people in Luxembourg still get a large part of their income, even when their employers can't guarantee them work through partial unemployment. However, like some people, like independents or pseudo-independents, meaning people working as freelancers for certain media or in Uberized jobs, like as in food delivery, or people employed in private households, so a lot of cleaning personnel, for instance, do not. They don't qualify for partial unemployment. Also, partial unemployment only covers about 80% of people's income. And as housing costs rise and they make up more and more of your income, this can make it difficult to make ends meet during these trying times. Like lacking 20% for 2 months or more can really be a hard blow to a lot of people, even if they're above minimum wage. So, and then the last factor is that evictions have been banned for the duration of the lockdown. So at least legally, no one should get kicked out if they can't pay rent. However, and it's kind of a big one, after the lockdown, landlords will be free again to evict all the tenants that didn't pay, that couldn't pay their rents. And they have an incentive to do so. Why is that? Because statistics show that actually newer contracts cost a lot more, which means if they can free up the housing units, they can now rent them out to new tenants and fix a higher price. So this actually could be, or the COVID-19 crisis could be an accelerating moment for the existing housing crisis.
Okay, thank you. I will show you the slide with the questions. I will also post them in the chat. They are already in the chat. So here are the wonderful questions. What are the factors are contributing to the housing crisis, and how will the COVID-19 crisis impact the housing crisis in Luxembourg? As I said before, the questions are also in the chat. We wanted to do this until 8, but I guess we can all agree that we will have some 10, maximum 15 minutes, I would say, of discussion left, and then we will give you the next date and make you hungry for more, hopefully. So, who wants to say something?
Juste rapidement, peut-être en français. des questions. Donc, quel autre facteur contribue à la crise du logement et comment la crise du Covid-19 va-t-elle impacter le logement? Et on a tout de suite une question de Maurice qui dit Do you think the Luxembourgish housing market is a unique case? Does it not show a lot of similarities with other major cities if we analyze cases from regional standpoint rather than from a national view? By the way, I would even go further with regards to the impact that set up on the Luxembourgish economy. The lack of purchasing power has been a drag on the local economy for a long time now and will stifle the economic reset, especially in these trying times of COVID-19. Donc voilà, une contribution par écrit.
Should I maybe answer this?
Yeah, if you want to.
So, well, I think it's not like totally unique case. Like, yeah, you have a lot of cities that experience price hikes. Certainly, as a lot of people move to the cities, etc. And however, there is one thing. There is a few things that are unique. Like, first of all, like prices going up 11.4% in 1 year, and it has been consistently around 10% for almost 20 years. Like, how is that even possible in any other city? Like, maybe you will find examples, you probably will, but it's still pretty unique. Like, just what extent to what extent it has impacted yeah, the whole the lives of thousands of people. And then what we also have to consider in its uniqueness is also how, first of all, how there is almost no response to it. There is a lot of cities who have at least tried. Here in Luxembourg, it's like it's going up, 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 up. And we have only like recently started doing anything about it. And even what the government has planned is mostly subsidizing those who profit off of it. So, well, they have now started building some affordable homes, but it's not nearly enough to meet demand. And then the other thing is how it also impacts. It kind of segregates our society, as you have like majority of Luxembourgish citizens are homeowners, a huge majority actually, whereas a huge majority of non-citizens aren't. They're tenants. So it's also kind of this reflection of this economic segregation we already have, that we already experience between citizens and non-citizens. So it's also the expression of a way deeper power problem that we have.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else who wants to say something? Maurice says thanks.
I would maybe just do a very quick link with what you just said in the end. The fact that most of the owners are citizens and the non-owners are not citizens. That's actually something that we can we can link to the discussion that we had with the essential and non-essential jobs before, because it's a bit similar. If you look at the people who are still going to work right now, except maybe from the sector of health, where we see there is a few, I mean, in the sector of health, you still have citizens working too, even though the large majority is cross-border workers and also foreigners. But all the other essential jobs, I mean, if you look at the supermarket, if you look at the cleaning stuff, logistics and transports and everything, we do recognize that there is a huge part of the workers that is not that are not citizen, and it's the same with housing, and it's something that we can see a bit in everything. So there goes again this class consciousness that we need to talk about, and how it's linked also to foreigners and non-foreigners and citizens outside of the EU. I mean, there is like, I think there is a whole hierarchy of rights too, and of statuses that is interesting to analyze maybe in a later meeting.
Well, maybe it's like, if there's not that much discussion now, then I can maybe also get to this other point that's actually important, but which I actually cut out because otherwise it would have been too much. But it's also that even with citizens, you see a change now, a demographic change, because young people can't afford the housing anymore, and you know they won't they don't all inherit the houses of their grandmothers. So you have a lot of people who are citizens now, but who won't get into the same jobs as their parents did, who work in more precarious situations, who can't afford to buy a home, let alone a house, which is like over €1 million now. So you have the gap. I think the gap is steadily widening. And I think here we should also be conscious that this is something that has been pushed politically. This is not an accident. This is something that those in power wanted to be like this because they profit off of it.
Okay, if there isn't anybody else who wants to say something, I think we will close this thing.
There's just Mara who said there's 2 interesting movies on the subject, Push on Arte and The Big Short.
Okay. I thank you everybody for coming, I guess, or for tuning in. I hope you learned something. I hope you had an interesting discussions. I thought it was very interesting, even if it's technically a little bit different and difficult to do it. It's our first time. I think we learned a lot how to do things. The next session will be on April the 18th. The topic will be the perspectives, so that will be a little bit less theoretical, or maybe even theoretical, but in another direction. And maybe we will change the format a little bit. If you have any recommendations or ideas, we would be glad to read them. Just send them to us. We will also send you a little bit of a resume of these sessions, and also the articles that were mentioned, the statistics that were mentioned. We will try to write a short document with all those links and everything that was discussed. We will also try to put the video of this online, of course, maybe to people who want to be published. But yeah, that will be online, hopefully in the coming days. Then I thank everybody for watching this, for taking part in the discussion, and I hope to see you again soon.
Je vais juste très rapidement traduire en français et vous dire merci à tous pour avoir participé, à tous et à toutes pour s'être joints à ce débat. Et donc, la prochaine fois, ce sera le 18 à la même heure. Peut-être on va changer un tout petit peu de format, rendre ce débat un peu plus participatif. On va donc la prochaine fois parler des perspectives. Donc, on va se baser un peu sur les conversations qu'on a eues aujourd'hui pour élaborer un peu et essayer de réfléchir à quelles sont les perspectives qui existent. Nous allons faire un petit résumé de ce qui a été discuté aujourd'hui et vous le transmettre au plus vite, ainsi que peut-être mettre l'intégralité ou peut-être en partie de cette conversation en ligne. Donc, continuez à nous suivre sur notre Facebook et on vous donnera toutes les indications.
Okay, that's it. See you soon. Bye.